Hey, well, welcome back. I'm just going to come out here and do a little bit of putting some kind of some silicone mixture, not silicone, but the silica fill and epoxy. And we're going to kind of go around these areas that need a little work so that they're nice and smooth. Up here we'll do a little combing, a little fillet in there, so that'll make that nice and smooth. But let's just get in and we'll mix up some materials and we'll just go from there. I actually think that that's all I'm going to do for right now. I think we're probably going to take some more time and kind of sand these down. I can put a fillet in there. I think that'll help out quite a bit. This right here turned out really nice with the fillet in there, kind of cleaned that up and made that look nice. I see I could still come in and kind of get some areas in here, but the epoxy will help with that. But otherwise, from that standpoint, everything's looking good. I see just some little areas here we could scrape through and clean up. There's a little bit of a mess back in here. Of course, we knew that just because that's the way that it was. And we may do some things. If I can't get this, really nice, we'll paint it black or something to make that look nice. But I think we still will come in through here and do a fillet in there. I think that'll help and it'll make it look nicer. Same with cleaning some things up. So we'll get those later on today. But other than that, I think we're going to stop for now. Well, I jumped out here one last time. I didn't film any of it because it's just more of the same. But I went back through and really did work the fillet and kind of filled those other areas in. So I actually think we have enough of the fillet in, so we'll just come in and start sanding. Maybe we'll do that tonight because this stuff is hardening up really quick. And we can get in here and get it nice and sand it in so it's nice and smooth, and then after that we can start doing some top coat. We'll put about 2 top coats of just epoxy, clear epoxy on that, and then I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to go grab some varnish over at Sherwin-Williams. It's about $16 a quart. Maybe buy a couple quarts of that, maybe a gallon, I don't know. We don't want to do that much, but we can always use additional varnish down the road. So we'll get back at it. So there's a lot of work going on here. Still think I need to come in here and still clean this up a little bit. And like I said, I may do a little brown patch there. This is coming out pretty good. Still got a little ways to go on it. But I think what I'm going to do is take a little denatured alcohol, kind of put it on a rag, and let's see what this looks like. And so, as you can kind of see where the fill is, it's going to come in pretty good, but we still would like to come in a little bit more on that so that it doesn't look as bad. But it is going to be under, so we don't have to worry about that. It's really rough up here. So that's going to be it tonight. We've done about as much damage as we can. I do think, as I look at some of these spots here, I don't know if it really matters, but coming in with a really high, I need to get these little spots out of here that has stuff on it. Maybe it's taking these. So, like I said, if this is not perfect, but it's going to look, we keep layering the glass on top of that, or the epoxy, it'll look better and better. So, that's it. Thanks for joining us, and we will catch you tomorrow. Well, it's the next day. We're coming back out here to do a little bit more sanding and continue what we're doing. A couple things, because I started just reading, or actually watching some other videos, and kind of keep in mind really what we're doing here when we've got it at this stage. The little ripply part, because there's only been one coat of epoxy on here. The part about it is you still want this ripple, because at this particular point we don't have a skim coat on there, and we'll put a skim coat on, but it's still showing that we haven't completely buried the fiberglass, and that's okay, because we're going to put two other coats on. So one of the things that we really want to do is we want to make sure that we try to get some of these off, and they don't have to be perfect, not at this time here. You may still feel it, but you don't want to get into this into the mesh at this particular point. That can all be covered with subsequent layers of epoxy. And one of the things that you do want to get off is here's a, looks like a paintbrush brush end. You want to try to get those out, and hopefully it's not too far buried in there, but I think it's not. But you don't want to keep those in your hole or any place on here. But don't take and cut any of that out. Now the other thing is, see this really shiny area right here? That probably got in and kind of puddled in there a little bit. And you got to watch out for that, because it's possible that with too much epoxy on there, it would float. It'd actually float that. Now, one of the things, as I continue to learn more about how to do this, there's actually a release paper that you can get, or it's kind of a ply that you would put a little bit more epoxy when you're coating this, and once that's all on, then you would actually squeegee out this paper that kind of lays on top of it. And once you do that, and once it dries and peels up, it's perfectly smooth. So maybe, you know, if I do another one of these, that may be something I'm going to do. The other thing that I did also find is that right here on this combing, I really need to roll this over a lot more. I don't have it rolled over very much right now, but I'm going to try to smooth that off a little bit as well. I think the last thing is that any of these areas here that are kind of little chunky in here, maybe I'll come back in with a chisel and just kind of chisel that out. And chisel can also be used to kind of grind it out this way as well. So I'm going to just go ahead and continue sanding away on this so that we can get ready to put at least a coat of, we're going to do epoxy clear on this, and then we can come in and do the rest of this. We won't do that today, but we're going to continue sanding. So I think I've done just about as much damage as I can on this, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just put together a little bit of epoxy, maybe about 4 pumps, and just put a coat all in this, clean it up, kind of do a little bit on the back side here too. I feel there's some need of some sanding. So that'll just at least do a first coat on that and clean that up. I think that'll be good for now. So before my battery runs out, I got this all taken care of, and you can kind of still see some areas here where I need to do a little sanding, but there's some other areas where, of course, we get into a little discoloration in there. I did squeegee this in, so that actually is, the colors on that are just really rich, and I know that's what the whole boat's going to look like when we get it done. This came in pretty well. Probably if I would have not done thickened around there, that probably would have been better. I did see that with this, I saw somebody just take it, basically super glue it down, and so it's not set that way. And then I have a little bit of a recessed area here, which you just have to watch out when you're putting on your hatch. Does your hatch go down? Mine goes down fine. So we'll let this dry. I'll probably end up putting on another coat once we get putting a skim coat on. We'll have a little bit more mixture, but we could actually start skimming. We'll start skimming this weekend. The one thing that I think I may do, you know, if you really look at this from this standpoint, which it'll be in the water like that, it's the cellufill. It's just, I'm just not too happy with that. But the one thing that I may do is just come in there, tape this off, and just paint black all the way around that. And that same thing, probably what I'll do in here too, because I just don't think that I'll be able to get some of these areas looking nice enough. So I'll just put a trim in black, and I may even put this up here black. I don't know. We'll kind of see how this all goes. But it's looking great, and we are getting so close to having some movement in the water. I've already started determining how I'm going to set the seat in, and I know how to do the foot pegs. But after that, I think we'll do little clips for this. I may not put all the bungees down at this time, because there's bungees in the back and the bungees in the front. I only have enough material for one boat, so I really need to order some other, but that's okay. I mean, we don't have to have those bungees there. And then I need to order a couple oars and get those in. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and we will catch you tomorrow. So welcome back to the channel. We've done a little work. Actually, just the work was let it dry, and as you can kind of tell, the results came out really nice. I'm still looking at this, and this is really starting to get smooth. Another skim coat on that's going to be fantastic. But what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to take and just do a real quick sand of these areas that we did yesterday, and then I'm going to put a quick top coat on this all across the top, stopping at about here. So that's where we're going. So we've gone back and just really kind of light sanded in some areas so that we can kind of protect what's kind of going on and make it a little smooth. And we're going to apply this next bunch of epoxy. I think what I am going to do is come back and get this combing here first and get that all taken care of, and then we'll start coming down here in these other areas and start squeegeeing those out. Now, I did see something. That was a little interesting. Of course, we want to break all this stuff off because we want a clean surface. So when we're going to take and do this skim, we want to make sure that we've got a clean edge to work with. So this was, I saw this, you took a block plane and you take it against your piece there, and that's going to give you a really nice edge. And then they also said to kind of varnish, rub it against your shirt. I'm going to rub it against this leather, kind of sharpen that up a little bit more. and make sure there's all the dirts off of it, because you don't want to transfer that to what you're working on. So this should be good, and I'm going to mix up some epoxy, and we're going to go ahead and epoxy this on. Well, we've got the skim coat, the very first one on, and it looks great. Not all of the fiberglass is fully encapsulated, but that's okay. That's what our third coat is going to be. We'll let this one here dry for the day. I don't know if we'll come out here tonight. We may. But what we may do is, if this is all dry, I think what I would do is probably flip it over and put a second coat under on the opposite side. So then they're both being actually in the same kind of process step. And once those dry, then we're going to sand everything down, and we'll do the same thing again. The next one won't be as much material, because a lot of the weave has been encapsulated. So I did a little over here on this side, just to kind of move a little forward, and it's really starting where that transition is starting to go away. So this is going to look good. The colors are really rich, and I do think that what we'll end up doing is the cowling there, where we've got that filler in there, we'll take and do a little work on that. But other than that, we're going to call it quits for now. Hey, well, welcome back. It is a little bit later on. It's about 8 o'clock in the evening, and I've went ahead and flipped this over and have done a little sanding on it. I want to take and put down some some denatured alcohol on it, just to get it all clean. But I'm kind of looking at a couple places here. I think I need to just sand a little bit more. But we're going to try to get the hull completely top coat with a kind of a seal coat or a skim coat, at least to start working on getting it a little bit smoother. I see a few areas I'm going to take and sand up a little bit. Well, we've got the first skim coat on there, and I probably should have taken a little bit more time to cut down some of this, but I was afraid I was going to get into the epoxy. So the next time I will. Oops, I see a drip. Let's get back up here and make sure all of these are not going anywhere. And we're still going to have to spend some time on this, just because we're still getting the fiberglass coming through. But of course, this is still only the second coat. We'll sand this down again, get it a whole lot smoother, put another coat on, and then there's going to be the 3 or 5 coats of varnish that'll go on this. So we're going to call it quits for this evening. I'm just taking a last look to see if there's any other drips that I need to take care of. And it looks like we're about as good as we're getting. You can see probably here these kind of spidery things. They're still lifted up a little bit, but we'll get those down the next time. But feeling pretty comfortable. I'm still not quite sure with this one here whether we're going to paint it or not. It's possible that we may still kind of come in here and do a paint line somewhere, you know, about where the water line is, but time will tell. We'll make this really nice from this standpoint, and if we need to add on, we will paint it black or dark green or white or something. So I think that's it for tonight. Let's get back tomorrow and we'll see what this looks like.